culturally responsive evaluation, particularly at the intersection of learning, health, and work, with a focus on marginalized populations. I'm excited to discuss how AI is shaping evaluation practices and what that means for creating more equitable opportunities. Sorry, that's me. Yeah, I'm doing this balancing act here, and hopefully this stays that way. I think one thing we know is that artificial intelligence is here to stay, and evaluation, a field rooted in critical thinking and informed decision making, must evolve to meet the challenges and opportunities presented by AI. As AI technologies rapidly advance, I expect their integration to significantly impact how policies and programs are evaluated. As an evaluator, I wrote this paper to provide guidance for myself and others who navigate this evolving landscape. I don't know how many of you are using AI or some version of it or generative AI, but we must consider how to adapt our theoretical understanding of evaluation in the context of AI, while maintaining the core principles of fairness, transparency, and accuracy. So let's get into it. The study that we conducted, it was clear from the study that AI is shaking up industries like healthcare and education. But when it comes to its role in evaluation, we have only scratched the surface. There's a lot of buzz around AI's potential, but we need to dive deeper into the ethical nuances, the practical hurdles of applications of AI in evaluation, and real-world impact on real people. This study zeroes in on these critical gaps by reviewing most recent peer-reviewed cutting-edge research and asking the big questions. How can AI truly elevate decision-making? How do we ensure it leads to fairer and more equitable outcomes? And most importantly, what is the roadmap for leveraging AI to genuinely transform how we assess and improve programs? I'm not going to go into the details of the methodology, but we used the PRISMA guidelines to ensure that it was a transparent and thorough review process. We used different, comprehensive search using key terms like AI and evaluation, and we drew our articles from peer-reviewed journal articles from 5 major databases. The screening processes, initially, we found 6,580 articles, but after removing the duplicates and the relevant studies, the pool was reduced to 48 final studies. And we have, specific areas of inclusion and exclusion. But overall, what the systematic review does is to provide a solid base for understanding how AI is applied in program evaluation. As I said, we reviewed 48 studies using AI in healthcare, education, environmental science, and public policy, covering North America, Europe, and Asia. The key AI tools include machine learning, neural networks, and natural language processing. These tools are making evaluation smarter and faster, but we are still dealing with a few challenges, like biases in AI models, lack of transparency, because AI decisions can feel like a black box, and with complex tasks, AI can struggle with context or culture-specific situations. So in short, AI is powerful, but we need to address these challenges to make sure it works for everyone. So going back to our first research questions, what are the most significant applications of AI in program evaluation, particularly in healthcare and education? Let's focus on healthcare for a second here. AI is making significant strides in healthcare, but there are some critical issues we need to address. While it is improving diagnostic accuracy, as you can see in this example, that Salim et al. Found that AI can match or outperform human radiologists. While this is promising, over-reliance on AI could lead to overlooking the nuances of human judgment in complex cases. And then there's another study that shows that AI systems can be used for real-time mental health evaluations, allowing for continuous patient monitoring and quicker interventions. However, concerns about data privacy and the potential for misinterpretation of emotional states remain. Same way Appraise AI got a lot of attention for ensuring that AI tools are properly vetted for clinical use, the question remains though, how much should doctors trust AI in making critical life or death decisions? But here's the real issue. Researchers are warning us that AI systems can inherit bias from flawed healthcare datasets. This leads to serious consequences, such as the underdiagnosis of Black patients in the US, highlighting the urgent need to tackle algorithmic biases before AI exacerbates existing health inequities. So that's not good. That emoji is like to my ass. No, let's not do that. AI is changing the way we approach grading and feedback by enhancing accuracy and efficiency. Now talking about education. So AI is doing a great job in automating assessments and peer evaluations. In terms of peer assessments, we see that AI is improving reliability and validity. Researchers have highlighted that AI can enhance peer evaluation processes, while other researchers have emphasized the role of neural networks in providing detailed feedback on free text responses, leading to more accurate assessments. But as a critical scholar, I have to point out the challenges. Despite these advancements, Chan 2023 pointed out that AI struggles with subjective evaluations, where human oversight is still necessary, and where evaluators are still necessary. This raises critical questions about where AI should be applied and where human judgment remains critical. We'll ask this third question about what ethical considerations arise when integrating AI into evaluation frameworks. So it's not just about cool tech. We need to talk about the real issues that come with it, especially about fairness, transparency, and privacy. Think about it. AI's decisions impact people's lives, so we have got to get this right. In terms of bias and fairness, AI systems can amplify biases if they are trained on biased data. This means that instead of leveling the playing field, AI could make the things worse by reinforcing existing inequalities. Think about it. If a peer assessment system is trained on biased data, some students might get unfairly low scores. Another example shows that when AI is used for peer assessment, it needs to be extra careful. If the data is biased, the feedback and grading could be skewed, meaning some students might consistently get the short end of the stick. So human judgment still matters. AI cannot fully replace the nuance of critical thinking humans bring. We need people to oversee AI-driven evaluations to make sure fairness and context-specific assessments and evaluations still exist and aren't lost. In terms of transparency and accountability, AI can be a black box. It makes decisions, but we don't always know how it gets there. That's a big problem, especially when we are talking about things like evaluating e-learning platforms. We might trust AI for things like usability, but for more complex factors like cost or security, not so much. If we cannot explain how AI made a decision, we cannot really hold anyone accountable when things go wrong. That's why transparency is key if we want people to trust the systems. Third is data privacy. When AI is used in healthcare, like for mental health evaluations, it's handling incredibly personal data. Imagining a system that tracks your emotional state every day. Who is going to be responsible for making sure the data stays safe and private? It's a huge concern. So now, how can AI be leveraged to promote more equitable evaluation outcomes? AI can reduce human bias by providing consistent objective evaluations, which can enhance fairness. For example, AI models can use fuzzy logic and fast propagation that can improve reliability of peer assessments. But the catch is, even though AI can be more objective, the models themselves can inherit biases from the data they're trained on, as we just spoke. For instance, if the data is biased or incomplete, AI might still reflect those biases, leading to inequitable outcomes. Additionally, privacy concerns arise when AI detects physical traits. For example, student fatigue by eye states. Addressing these concerns while maintaining objectivity is critical. So basically what I'm saying is that AI is not objective. AI is as subjective as the data that it's training on. Identifying at-risk individuals. There is potential benefit to it. AI can be instrumental in identifying vulnerable individuals, for example, suicide risks in social media users, based on current studies, which could lead to timely interventions. However, the catch is that there are ethical implications around monitoring and data collection, especially in sensitive areas like mental health. For AI to accurately identify at-risk individuals, it often requires access to large amounts of personal data, raising concerns about consent, privacy, and data security. The question is whether these systems can operate without breaching individual rights or introducing unintended surveillance practices. There's potential benefit of AI in personalizing education, as we all know. It can cater to diverse learning needs, make education more accessible, but the catch is while personalization can promote inclusivity, it can also widen gaps if AI is not designed with inclusivity in mind. If AI systems aren't culturally responsive, they could exclude marginalized students who don't fit the dominant patterns with the training data. Additionally, over-reliance on AI for personalization may bias critical human oversight and intuition, leading to a one-size-fits-all algorithmic approach rather than truly individualized learning experiences. And then fourth, reducing barriers to access. How many more minutes? 3 more minutes? So I guess we're doing well. Reducing barriers to access. There are potential benefits to it, right? It can democratize access to high quality education and healthcare by providing real-time feedback and reducing burden on human professionals. So it can lead to broader access to these essential services. But there is a catch. And by this time, you know, I'm always trying to find catches. So while AI can reduce barriers, it might introduce new ones. For example, the digital divide that the entire world is experiencing right now leads to broader access, does not lead to broader access to these essential services. Rather, it means that not all students or healthcare systems have equal access to AI technologies. Those in low resource settings may not benefit from these advances, potentially exacerbating existing inequalities. Moreover, the dependence on AI systems might prioritize technological solutions over human-centered approaches. It can create a potential gap in equity for those who lack access to technology or the internet. I'm gonna wrap up. So there are 4 principles for AI use in evaluation that I'm proposing. So these principles, number 1 principle focus on inclusive co-design. AI evaluation systems should be co-developed with marginalized communities to reflect their diverse perspectives, values, and needs, and it is not negotiable. Collaborate directly with underrepresented interest holders throughout the design, development, and implementation stages. Engage community members in defining what equitable outcomes look like in the context of AI-driven evaluations. For the sake of time, I'm going to keep this section very brief. The second principle is transparency and accountability. This principle focuses on AI systems being transparent in their decision-making processes and accountable to the communities they serve. How can you do it? Use explainable AI models. They are pretty available. Explainable AI models that clarify how decisions are made and allow for human oversight. Built-in mechanisms for community stakeholders to challenge and audit AI-driven decisions. That will ensure accountability to the populations being evaluated. And all these principles, I did not come up with these principles. I drew these principles from the existing work in cultural responsive evaluation and also quant crit, theoretical frameworks. The third principle focused on data justice. Communities must retain control over their data to ensure that AI-driven evaluations promote equity and do not exploit vulnerable populations. And the way you can implement it is by developing policies that prioritize community ownership of data, ensuring marginalized groups have the power to decide how their data is collected, stored, and used. Last but not the least, responsive reflexivity. So this principle is focused on AI-driven evaluations that is reflexive, that recognize how intersecting identities, for example, race, gender, and class, impact evaluation outcomes. One of the ways to implement it is by incorporating intersectional analysis into AI models. ensuring that system recognizes and accounts for multiple overlapping forms of operation. Use reflexive practices where evaluation consistently question how AI tools may reinforce systemic inequalities, particularly along race, gender, and class lines. I am going to stop here. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope to engage you.